We're live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the February meeting of the Philadelphia Land Bank Board. We are going to start with a statement read by our attorney about holding virtual meetings.
Good morning. Today's board meeting is being held via an authorized communication device because of the continued closure of land bank offices to the public due to the COVID pandemic. This meeting is being recorded. Questions and comments may be made using the Q&A function or raised hand button at the bottom of the screen. If you are calling in and not using the Zoom webinar link, you may ask questions or make comments by pressing *9 on your phone. You can also use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen. Please do not use the chat function. If any member of the public has any issues submitting questions or comments, please send an email to andrea.sa@phdc.phila.gov and that will be posted in the Q&A. Please note all questions and comments received by email or through the Q&A section will be included in the minutes. Also, prior to today's public session, the board held an executive session at which the board received information about the agenda, as well as a clarification from myself that the fact sheet for 3252 Germantown Avenue was revised and will be posted on the website to show that I prepared it, and also that the nonprofit organization that is the sole member of the general partner of the entity to which the property will be assigned is also the sole member of the developer to whom the disposition was approved. And that is North 10 Philadelphia, a Philadelphia nonprofit corporation. Thank you. That's it.
Great, thank you. And now we'll have a roll call.
Yes, Ann Fedulin,
Here.
Alexander Balloon, Andrew Goodman,
Here.
Rich DeMarco,
Here.
Maria Gonzalez,
Here.
Michael Johns,
Here.
Rebecca Lopez Chris,
Here.
Majida Rashid,
Present.
Joshu Harris,
Here.
Michael Coombs,
Here.
Rick Sauer.
Here.
All right, we have more than a quorum and can proceed.
Great, thank you. All right, we're going to start first with the approval of the minutes from the January Philadelphia Land Bank Board meeting. Hopefully the board has had a chance to review those minutes. If there are no questions, comments, or edits, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the minutes from the January Philadelphia Land Bank Board meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and that brings us to the executive director's report.
Are you on mute?
Angel, you're muted.
I was going too, right? So good morning, everybody. Today I'd like to inform everybody about two items. Land management has posted two RFPs, one in the 2nd Councilmatic District, the Grace Ferry Dover Street RFP, that is 17 parcels. The requirement is that they all be produced for 80% of AMI. We will be having a question and answer session February 15th at 10 a.m. The RFP is due February 28th by 4 p.m. And then we have one in the 4th Councilmatic District, the Pastor James Allen RFP. That's 25 parcels. These parcels are being rezoned to RM1. The requirement is that 70% of the units must be 80% of AMI or below. We will be having a Q&A session February 10th, and the RFP will be due February 28th. Land management will also be issuing another RFP this week, and we will be subsequently issuing more RFPs as we move forward. In the chat, if anybody has a question or wants to review the RFP, I put the link in for the RFQ and RFP. I am also going to put in the chat how anybody can, if you wish, You can get a notification by going to the link that says stay informed, and you will get an email blast every time we post anything or are there any changes from land management or any other programs that PHDC provides. That's the end of my report.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the board of Angel about his report? All right. Seeing none, we're going to go to the action items section of the agenda, and I just want to clarify that both of these items are administrative. So what the board is considering today is not whether or not to dispose of these properties or these in regards to these projects, but really just administrative changes to the developers of the properties. So with that, we'll hear item 4A.
Morning, everybody. Regarding item 4A, this particular request is requesting that the board authorize a resolution for BVG Property Group LLC to convey 2032 East Lehigh Avenue, the premises in this case, upon its acquisition from the land bank to BVG 2032 East Lehigh Avenue Partners LLC. That particular entity is wholly owned by BVG 2032 East Lehigh Ave QOF LLC, which is owned by the members of BVG Property Group. The request will be to assign the purchase and development agreement and all its rights and obligation thereunder pertaining to the particular premises, ultimately to BVG 2032 East Lehigh Avenue Partners LLC. Just a little context on the project itself and property itself. 2032 East Lehigh Avenue is one parcel in a group of about 15 scattered site parcels that were approved by the land bank back in November for the disposition to the developer, BVG. The scope approved was for a mixed income development containing affordable rental units and market rate rental units, as well as home ownership units as well. Following the conveyance of the property by the land bank to the developer plans to develop three market rate rental units on 2032 East Lehigh Avenue. Because the property is actually located in a qualified opportunity zone, and their development therefore qualifies for certain federal tax treatment related to opportunity zone tax credits, the developer has now requested the land bank's approval for the developer's conveyance of 2032 East Lehigh Avenue to a separate entity created for the sole purpose of holding this particular property, which is located in the qualified opportunity zone. And secondly, the assignment of the developer's rights and obligations under the purchase and development agreement pertaining to the premises to that separate entity, which is ultimately going to be the assignee via an assignment and assumption agreement that will be entered into by the land bank, developer, and the assignee. The economic opportunity plan for an entire project has been approved and will still apply to the property, and the sources and uses for the project financing will ultimately be the same. Again, the members of the developer BVG Property Group LLC, that particular LLC is a Pennsylvania limited liability company, and the three members, the three individuals who are the members of that are the same members of BVG 2032 East Lehigh Ave QOF LLC. And ultimately, that is the sole member of the assignee, which is BVG 2032 East Lehigh Avenue Partners LLC.
Thank you. Any questions from the board on this item?
Question, is the new entity located in the opportunity zone? Is the new legal entity located in the opportunity zone also?
The address that is being conveyed to them is located in the opportunity zone.
No, I'm asking about the entity itself. Or is the entity still, it's the same entity, but I didn't know whether they created a location or, you know, a post office box within the opportunity zone.
It's our understanding that they took the steps to create that, but Angel.
If I could raise, the attorney for the project is.
So this is a relatively simple question, okay? The question is the applicant, do they have a place of business located within the opportunity zone?
Yes, that was the question. Yes.
Do we know the answer to that?
Believe
Is the address that they provided within the opportunity zone? Do we know?
Would deflect the question to the attorney at this point.
Okay. All right. Can we unmute Rachel Pritzker, Abby, please?
Good morning, everyone. I apologize. I'm sick, so that's what you're hearing, and I will try to be brief. So the way it works is that in order for us to get the benefit of the qualified opportunity zone, you have to have a separate LLC that has for the limited purpose of being a qualified opportunity zone fund, which is just part of how you set up the LLC, and then the property has to be transferred into that entity. There's no requirements that you have to own a business within that LLC. That's not even part of it. So while they could theoretically do that, that's a little bit of an overreach as for how the process works. Essentially, all we're asking is we needed to create a separate LLC that is a QOZF, and then we need to move the property into that LLC. And that's all essentially we're asking for. I appreciate the question of is there a business tied to it or is the address tied to it? But that's really not how it works. It's just a matter of creating the entity that's a QOZF for the limited purpose of being a property in a qualified opportunity zone fund and then transferring the property over to that.
Thank you.
Yep,
So again, just to clarify, the answer to the question is no.
correct.
Yes, right.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the board on this item?
Yes,
We'll
I'll
do
be recusing from the vote on this matter. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Rich. And are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this item? Mr. Ali, can we unmute Mr. Ali?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairperson and members of the board. I wanted to make a comment about, actually two comments. When this resolution first came up several months ago, I voiced my concerns about participation of disadvantaged businesses. As some of you may not know, I'm Jihad Ali. I work closely with minority contractors. I'm a construction manager at the Enterprise Center. And our concern is to help businesses grow. And sometimes they have to grow when they know the opportunities are. And so since we all in the city acknowledge that even as of yesterday, there was a hearing with the Economic Development Committee on Resolution 210966, that the city, has just dropped the ball in regards to participation and inclusion. So when we met with the developer, he actually agreed that he would, he told us he was signing the EOP plan, but he gave us his commitment that he would work and listen to and give opportunities to contractors that he was not familiar with that are certified and qualified. So, I support the project. The second comment I want to make, when the member of the board just recused himself, is there a requirement that the member identify what the recusal is?
I will defer the second question to our attorney. And I just want to say, Mr. Ali, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what was the question? I was.
Whether or not
Yeah.
Mr. DeMarco has had to recuse himself from this
and why?
item, and Mr. Ali is asking, is Mr. DeMarco required to state what exactly the conflict is?
Well, Mr. DeMarco will be sending a letter that will be attached to the minutes explaining his recusal, but I can explain that Mr. DeMarco is recusing himself because he is representing BBG Property Group on a completely unrelated matter. That representation occurred after the disposition was approved. And although there is no direct conflict of interest with this particular agenda item, even when there's an appearance of a conflict of interest, we generally recommend that board members recuse themselves.
Thank you, Council.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other members of the public have any questions or comments about this item? Seeing none, can I get a motion from the board?
I believe Mr. DeMarco has to turn his camera off and everything.
All right, thank you.
Motion
All right.
approved.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve item 4A, which involves the assignment of the properties. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries, and that brings us to item 4B.
Thank you, Ann. So item 4B comes to us as a request for the board to authorize a resolution that will allow Germantown Liberty Acquisitions LLC to consolidate 3252 Germantown Avenue, the premises in this case, after its acquisition from the land bank, with other parcels to ultimately file and declare a condominium to convey the residential condominium unit created by 3200 Germantown Associates LP and assign the purchase and development agreement to and all rights and obligations thereunder pertaining to the premises itself to 3200 Germantown Associates LP. Just a little context and background. 3252 Germantown Avenue, the premises was approved by the board for disposition to Germantown Liberty Acquisitions back in June 2021. The scope approved was for a mixed-use LIHTC development containing 41 affordable housing rental units with a shared common space and market rate commercial space. Following the conveyance of the property by the land bank to the developer intends again to consolidate the property with the other parcels in the development and ultimately file the condominiums as described against the consolidation parcel, which will create 2 condo units. A unit that will one consist of a commercial space and 2, a unit that will consist of affordable housing rental units with the shared common space, basically a commercial and a residential unit. The developer intends to convey, tax credits. The developer intends to convey the residential unit to a separate sole purpose entity, which is 3200 Germantown Avenue LP, the assignee. The developer has requested that the land bank's approval for 2 actions total. For defining the project to which the PDA applies as the residential unit only and not the commercial unit. And then 2, the developer's conveyance of the residential unit to the assignee. And then actually ultimately 3, the assignment of the developer's rights and obligations under the PDA, the purchase and development agreement, pertaining to the project to the assignee via an assignment and assumption agreement to be entered into the land bank, entered in by the land bank, the developer, and the assignee. The economic opportunity plan for this particular project will still apply. Ultimately, the developer Germantown Liberties Acquisition LLC is a Pennsylvania LLC, the sole member of which is North 10 Philadelphia, a Pennsylvania nonprofit, and the assignee 3200 Germantown Associates LP is a Pennsylvania limited partnership, which has a general partner, 3200 Germantown General Partner LLC, which is a PA limited liability company. The sole member, which is North 10 Philadelphia. The assignee's LP, the limited partner, is RJMT 3200 Germantown Associates LLC, which is a Florida LLC.
Great. Thank you, Jesse. And just to clarify, because there's a lot of legal terms in there, this is really to facilitate the structure that's required for them to secure their financing for a low-income housing tax credit project. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, we do have a member. Mr. Ali has his hand up, and then we'll ask for additional public comment.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson, members of the board. As you said, Chairperson, there was a lot of legal comments, and from a citizen's point of view, in the future, when you have complex things, could you consider having a chart, an organizational chart that shows, structure? For LIHTC projects, what always concerns me is the commercial part, because that's not covered in the LIHTC application. So I really didn't hear who was going to be the owner of the commercial part. And then when they talked about North 10 Philadelphia, in the agenda items, they don't identify that as a nonprofit. I didn't notice that. And because in that area up there, there's several active RCOs, there's several other nonprofits up there. Who are the members of all this? And I think in the future, this is just a request. In the future, when you're dealing with all these entities, at least there should be, as you are aware, Chairperson, at the RDA, you typically will show the members of these organizations. I'm not sure if it, since I just saw this today, if you've done that before, but if not, in the future, can you do that?
Good. Thank you for those comments, Mr. Ali. And I do think it would be helpful in the future to provide some additional information, sort of, you know, if you look at this as a plain language exercise to make sure that, you know, there's a lot of knowledge that those of us who work on this stuff every day sort of understand this, but it does, you know, to a large extent sound like gobbledygook to folks that aren't involved because of, you know, the kind of the nuance of some of this stuff. So I think those are helpful comments. Do we have any other members of the public who wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, can I get a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve this change.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve this. I believe this is another assignment agreement. Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. That brings us to the end of our agenda. And now we will open it up for anybody who wishes to approach the board around any older or no business. Mr. Ali.
Madam Chairperson, members of the board, I just wanted to give a shout out to Angel because he's doing a course for minority developers. I happen to attend with one of our developer partners, and he's just been phenomenal, providing a lot of information that's really benefited a lot of up and coming developers in Philadelphia. And I think him and I think he's doing a great job with all the staff. Thank you.
Great, thank you. It's very, very good to hear. Very good to hear. You know, it's the first time out with that program, and so it's great to get feedback, whether it's positive or negative, but it's always great to hear positive feedback for sure. And I'm glad it's going so well.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
Aye.
thank you all. We will see you in March. And until then, please stay safe and healthy. Take care, everyone.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Bye.